Good afternoon and welcome once again to another episode of the Digital Toolkit, the only place to get the latest tools, tips and advice to help your business grow online. Today is a pretty awesome session with Nicole van Hattem sharing her knowledge, insights and experience on burnout and how to avoid it, what not to do, and how to stay on track for success. So over to you, Nicole.
Wow, thanks, Katrina. That is short and snappy. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in, whether you're watching a live or you're watching the recording. Welcome, Katrina and Jackie. It is going to be a little interactive. I do have a presentation because I want to make sure I stay on point with all the key elements to do with burnout. A little bit of background on me and why I'm so passionate about this. I did over 20 years in the corporate world. I was a high-flying corporate executive. I worked across industries. I worked in the Middle East for 17 years. I worked in quite volatile and really challenging environments. I also grew up in a house where my dad had PTSD, so that gives you some background. And then I went into small business, and in small business, I did that for 10 years. It's a hard game. We're going to talk a bit more about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about resilience, because that's something that I know small business owners have. Otherwise, you can't sustain the actions you need to take in order to keep your business moving forward. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to kick off with sharing the screen really quickly. So let me know if you can see the presentation as it comes up. Can you see the presentation? Excellent. So we did say, what is burnout? And there's, if you did a little bit of a search online, you'd come up with a few definitions. My two favorite are the one from the Mayo Clinic and the one from the World Health Organization. Now, I've had 4 burnouts. I think I've burnt out from every angle. And I am going to share with you some of the patterns that result in burnout and so how you can interrupt them. But the Mayo Clinic says that burnout, it's not just stress, it's a special type of stress. It's physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion. So you're not just tired, you just don't have any reserves left. And it's very hard to bounce forward from setbacks. So your levels of resilience are quite low. I add into that definition in that section spiritual burnout as well. So spiritual disconnection, a disconnection from the things and the people that keep you connected to something much bigger than what's going on in the day-to-day, and you're not feeling creative and connected. All of this combined with doubts about your competence and the value of your work. So this is relevant whether you run a small business, whether you work in corporate, or whether you're managing your private life. You might just be thinking, I'm just not good enough. I'm just not doing enough. I just can't seem, to deliver great work consistently. And you kind of wondering why on earth that's going on. The other one, as I mentioned, is the World Health Organization definition. There's a bit of a link there if you want to dig a bit deeper. The World Health Organization, I think it was in 2019, 2019, actually identified it as a medical syndrome. So, and it results from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. And 3 factors, feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, there's that word again, increased mental distance from one's job, feelings of negativism or cynicism, and reduced professional efficacy. And I can say, if you look at the picture on the right, the clients that I've been dealing with around burnout, success and sustainable success, particularly women, it really does show up as scattered thoughts. I've got health issues, maybe digestion, heart palpitations. I'm not sleeping well. I'm feeling overwhelmed. In my case, it shows up with things like I write lists. And I write lists and I write the same list and then I write the list again. I'm like, why am I writing the same list I wrote yesterday and the day before? And I might be ticking 1 or 2 things off, but I'm like, list nuts. I actually, when I had teams in corporate, I had my last full-time corporate role was head of HR for an international bank, and I had 27 staff. And I would say to them, if you see me doing any of the following, please, go, hey, Nicole, do you think you might need a little bit of a time out? And one of them was, have I written the same list? And did I go through the same list in the meeting that we had last week? And they would very gently call me out on it. Some more specific signs of burnout, struggling to get started with your day, you're procrastinating, you're putting it off, it's taking you longer to get ready, you're not leaping out of bed and going for it. You're feeling unsatisfied with your business and your achievements. We sort of touched on that before. You might be using food, drugs, or alcohol to distract you. That was certainly, oh my goodness, absolutely me in different ways. And it would be food or not so much the drugs. Couldn't really get my hands on those when I was in the Middle East, for example. Alcohol is still something I'm challenged with. It seems to be my go-to, almost giving myself approval to stop at the end of a day. I've been going all day, and if I've had a drink, it's like, oh, well, there's my approval. I can't do anything from now on. Whereas actually, if I took a time out, went for a walk or had a cup of tea or called a friend, I could give myself the okay to stop. I wouldn't need something to stop me. So often you'll be doing it because you don't want to feel what you're feeling, because it might mean you have to make different decisions or have an honest conversation, maybe do less, say no, etc. Sleep is a big one that shows up all the time. Physical ailments, if you ignore burnout for too long, or the signs of burnout, or the lead up, early warning signs to burnout, your body's going to get your attention. For me, I had all sorts of digestive issues, headaches, back pain. Went to the doctor, they're like, nah, there's not really anything wrong with you. And I'm like, really? Because it feels like it is. And then when I retrained as a holistic health coach, I learned all about the signs that your body gives you in order to get your attention, to slow down, make some changes, listen to your intuition, do more of something, less of something, set boundaries, etc. This last one, you might just think you're moody, but actually it's a lot more than that. It's you're lacking patience with yourself, very hard on yourself, very judgmental on yourself, lacking patience with family, co-workers, customers and clients. So it's worthwhile, having some time, and we'll talk about how to do that, taking some time out to sit, reflect, check in with yourself. Am I okay? How have I been showing up in the workplace? How am I showing up in my business? You might have excessive, fears or focus on certain things in the business. Money is a constant one for small business owners. But let's talk about the cost of burnout. So lost productivity. If you're a small business owner and you're a solopreneur, you're it. You have to be at the top of your game pretty much every day because you're juggling all the balls. You're responsible for everything from marketing to finance to legals to customers to sales to complaints to everything, right? Even, product development, design. There's so much. So you have to be on the top of your game. You can't afford to burn out, and you absolutely can't afford to be less than at your best. And if you've got employees as a small business owner, people are expensive. Employees are expensive, and they are expensive in terms of whether you have an in-house employee, or you've got a virtual assistant, or you have an external team. And so it's the direct cost of that, but it's also the cost of them making perhaps poor decisions or not delivering results on time, or taking a lot longer to produce the outcomes that you're paying for. And that's particularly important if you've got deadlines with clients or your product launch, or, you need to solve a problem, implement a new system, for example. If you're a small business owner, you can't afford to not be passionate as all get out about your business, because you are the energy that makes your business alive. Without you and your energy, and that's your passion, people are going to feel it. Your team will feel it. Your customers will feel it. The people that are there to support you are going to go, I don't think they're switching off. I'm not feeling the vibe. It's really important that you keep your passion up. Now, it is going to, wax and wane. That's kind of normal. But if the passion is consistently low, it's going to impact so many aspects of your business and your life, because everything that's happening in terms of burnout, let's say in your small business, does leak into the rest of your life as well. Many of us are in small business because we're passionate and because we want to make an impact with the business that we've created. I'm sure that's right for Katrina and Jackie and everyone else watching this. You didn't go into business just so you could just not have a job and create your own job at work, at home. I'm pretty sure you're passionate and you want to make an impact through your business and help other people through your business. It's one of the reasons I work with a lot of heart-centered business owners, people who run a lot of feminine energy, women in particular business owners, because they are really passionate about what they do and they really do want to do a great job. And they've got a vision for making a difference and making impact through their business. Lives wasted and lives lost is really important. Now, lives wasted, for me, that's more around lack of fulfillment. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel fully expressed. I started a business because I really wanted to experience all of that. And I wanted to express myself through my business, or I wanted to be able to have all aspects of my life nourished by having a business that served me and my goals. Now, the lives lost seems a little bit dramatic. However, my first experience of burnout, I put my hand up and went to my boss, the CEO of the bank I was working for, and I said, I'm exhausted. Like, I'm not just tired. I don't need a weekend. I need like a couple of weeks just to switch off. And he was like, oh, great. Because we were both working 16 hours a day. He was smoking, chain smoking. We were both drinking. We were living on coffee, fast food, you know, all the bad things. And we didn't have sleep. And we were doing this for about 3 years, 6 days a week, 16 hours a day, because we loved what we did. But we forgot to take care of ourselves. So I went on retreat. And when I got back, I said to him, oh, look, I haven't turned into a hippie because I went on an absolute extreme retreat. But there are definitely things we need to do differently. And he's like, great, come and tell me all about them because maybe I'll implement some of them. So we set a meeting for the next day. He'd just gotten off a plane from the UK. He had to go home and chill out. So we set a meeting for the next day, but the next day he was dead. So he was 49 and he died of a massive heart attack. That was sort of a real turning point for me. And I went, you know what, we're way too smart to be this dumb. How did we end up in this cycle of burnout that leads to death? So whether that's death of passion or impact or literally your life, it could be relationships, the death of quality relationships or self-connection or whatever it might be. In his case, it was that. So for me, I left the corporate space, retrained as a holistic health coach, started my own coaching practice, had another burnout because I didn't learn what I'm going to teach you until a little bit later. I needed a few more practices, a few more wake-up calls. So it's not all doom and gloom and death. Let's talk about the good news. You can build the type of resilience you need to not just stay in business, but to thrive as an individual within your business and to encourage your teams to be able to do the same thing. So definitely, you know, support networks, taking time off, social networks, physical activity, sleep and nutrition. Common sense, but not commonly implemented in a real strategic way. If you want to be sustainable in your small business, you must put these as a priority. Yes, you need money and you need tools and you need digital tools and you need a laptop and you need product service. Without you, there is no small business, especially in the first years while you're establishing it and getting a team together until you can perhaps step away. But don't leave it too long. Make sure that these are key parts of the strategy for you to stay in business and continue running your business. Early intervention, yep, you can bring stress management programs, get some counseling, get a coach. You can go to workshops, you can go to small business programs where they'll teach you about these things, but really it comes down to self-responsibility. You have to actually do these things. They're not going to work just because you showed up at a workshop and went, oh yeah, I'm supposed to not live on coffee and fast food and soft drinks and late nights. I'm supposed to treat myself with respect as a human being and balance these things out. Not easy, which is why we do encourage you to go to counseling or get a coach. Someone like me, I'm really good at it. I've seen all the signs. I've experienced it 4 different ways. I can tell you every single passionate, driven entrepreneur and small business owner that I've had the pleasure of working with, we've had to address some of these issues and put them back in their rightful place and priority list. Self-awareness, so getting to know yourself. It's not optional. If you want to avoid burnout and have sustainable success in your small business as a small business owner, then you have to know yourself really well. And I now know myself really, really well when it comes to burnout. I was a bit of a slow learner. Let's talk about one of my faves, because I know we've only got about 7 or 8 minutes left, and I want to touch on the really key things and the things you can do that maybe you really haven't taken seriously. This is one of my favorites, because I often ask people, you know, what do you think your risk is of a lifestyle related disease if you continue the way? And no, it's fine. And I don't smoke and I don't do this. And I'm like, yeah, sitting will kill you. And ladies, it's 90% high risk of a lifestyle related disease if you sit for 6 hours or more, and also sedentary. And you might think, you know what, I get out and I go to the gym for an hour a day. Yeah, but you're not designed to sit all day for prolonged periods of time. I have a TEDx talk. You can watch that to get more insights into what happens to you when you sit for too long. But there's a whole bunch of biological common sense and hormonal reasons, particularly as females, to move consistently throughout the day. And I don't just mean doing this and maybe this and about it. You've got to move the whole form. Yeah, so have a little yoga mat behind your chair and roll it out and do some stretches, walk around the garden, put a timer on your phone for every half an hour, get up, move your gorgeous bodies around. Great for mental clarity and just natural energy, you know, better clarity of thought, so many reasons. But move that glorious body. There's some great books. There's one called Move Your DNA by Katie Bowman. Highly encourage you to read that if this is something that you'd like to dig a bit deeper into. I do want to talk about this area of self-awareness I mentioned before. It's so important to know yourself. You know, it's so important to know what your triggers are, what you need to be a well human and a healthy business owner, and to, you know, self-advocate. Set boundaries, put your hand up, go, you know what, I need a timeout. I did it yesterday. I work for a university full time and I run my coaching and consulting practice on the side. So there are times when I'm like, yeah, I'm done. So yesterday I was like, I can't be on campus anymore. There's way too many humans. I haven't had any me time. Picked up my stuff and when I'm going to go work from another space. So just to shift my energy, feel a bit freer. I know myself really well and I know the signs. It's the tension in the neck. I'm starting to read the same sentence 5 times, you know. I'm like, oh, another person wants to talk. All right, go get some water, shift, move, change, know myself. The way I did that, yes, was definitely by burning out and having to go through recovery. I've had counselors, coaches, doctors, health coaches. I studied health coaching. I'm a qualified yoga teacher. I've done it, all of those things because I really wanted to learn about myself. But one of the most powerful, simple and free ways you can do that is by writing a journal. 10 minutes a day. How do I feel today? What are my predominant thoughts today? How am I showing up in my business today? What's the quality of my decision making? How fearful am I? Am I making high quality decisions easily? Am I asking for my needs to be met? Am I honoring my boundaries? And just write them. What's coming up for me today? Some days you might get the pen, paper and go, nothing, I got nothing. Other days you'll be like, whoa, and it all comes out. The other reason it's useful is you can take that to a coach or a counselor or a friend or a colleague or your support network and go, this is what I've been writing over the last, you know, week, 2 weeks, month. I might be blind to a pattern here. Can you help me out? I will often get clients to do this if we need to assess whether or not they're in the right business, whether they still have the passion to continue their business, whether they have the energy to push through with a new product launch, whether there's any limiting beliefs around abundance, or they might have a money mindset block. It might be something simple, like they just need a little bit more time out. Maybe they need to have regular meditation, up their nutrition, get a massage, whatever it might be. So it can be really, really useful from that perspective, but it really helps you to get to know you so you can self-advocate and you can manage yourself and lead yourself more effectively. Another one, I have a whole bunch of different tools that I use to help you through those guided practices. Growth mindset. So the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, and being able to identify which state of mindset you're in and then move more towards a growth mindset. So when something happens, reflecting, where's the learning? How can I grow? What do I need to know? What's working? What do I need to do differently? And always understand you're in a constant state of learning, expansion, contraction, settling, learning, expansion, contraction, settling. It's a constant process and a flow throughout life. And when you're a small business owner, it's never ending. It doesn't stop. It's part of the fun of owning your own small business. Alrighty, so how do you beat burnout? Really simple. Do not lose sight of why you started your business. What is your vision, mission? Are you still motivated? How do you motivate yourself? And do you still have the clarity that you had around why you got into business in the first place? And is it still serving you? That's really important. Don't become a slave to your business. Does the business serve you and your vision for your life? You have to stay connected to your why. Why did you start the business? Does it still serve that purpose? Maybe you're 1 year, 2 years, 3 years into it, you know, like I started the wrong business, or this business is better than ever. It's so aligned with me. It's really meeting my family goals or my personal goals, or get back in connection with your vision, mission, why you were motivated to start it. Are you still motivated to continue with it? And do you have that crystal clear clarity on why you are in business, who you're in business for, and what you want out of that business? Don't become a slave to it. You need to be the master of the business, not the other way around. Your roadmap, strategy, goals, plan, and accountability. This is the process I take clients through when we're doing an audit, and also when we're implementing the strategy. So I work with them for 12 weeks to get them from, oh my goodness, to woohoo, I got it all going again. Really important, you have to put you first. I don't know how many business owners, oh, I can't go to bed, I have to see this client, I have to launch that product, I've got to make money to pay my staff. And I'm like, no, you don't. Your staff are grown-up adults. They have responsibility for paying their own bills. If you sacrifice yourself for others for that reason, or, you know, you work too hard and you sacrifice your relationships and you do all that sort of stuff, well, maybe actually that's what you chose, you know. But if it's not what you wanted and that's happening, then you need to go, you know what? Self-care is not selfish. It's a self-responsibility, and it needs to come first. From there, you can serve much better, faster, and to a much higher level for much longer. You do need to review your resources. This is a big part of burnout, especially in small business. I've seen people burn out because they ran out of money. They ran out of energy. They didn't have the right knowledge, skills in order to run that business, and they were constantly catching up or having to spend a lot of money quickly learning rather than actually serving customers and bringing an income in through the business. Your network's really important. You have to do an audit. Are you surrounded by the right people? Have you outgrown them? Have you got some Klingons that you need to get rid of? Perhaps you need to tune into podcasts. Maybe you need to go to different networking groups, that sort of thing. But you really need to do an audit on your support network. Do they support sustainable success for you? Actions, yes, bit of a strategy there. And very important, when you're going on holidays, at the beginning of every year, when are you taking those breaks? Are you doing it once a quarter? Are you doing it at the end of every 30 days? Do you go on one giant holiday a year? Is that sustainable for you? Do you need to go by yourself? You know, do you need to go on a business retreat? Do you need to go with the family to switch off and go off grid? What do you need? Plan it at the beginning of the year. Non-negotiable. I'm going to wrap up with, specifically if you're talking about workplaces and you're leading a team, maybe your small business is more than you and a couple of people, and you really need to think about how are you going to get the best out of yourself and your team long term so that you don't burn out and you can perform at that high level for longer. You need to look at work design. So what does your team need to thrive? So for me, I'm on campus 3 days a week, and I work from home 2 days a week. It's brilliant because I don't have the commute, and I'm thrilled because my commute's anything between 2 and 5 hours because I'm between lots of locations. So for me, it's like, oh, I get to work in my pajamas on a Monday and Friday, and then in my suit Oh yeah, I'm not wearing pajamas today, and today's Friday. Work cultures. Really important. How do you solve problems in your organization, in your small business? How do you manage change? Is everyone on board, or do you just do quick sudden shifts and everyone has to kind of catch up? Because that kind of rapid change can be quite destabilizing and lead to burnout. It's incredible amounts of stress. So if you work in a work culture where there's constant high levels of change and everyone has to just, adapt really quickly, constantly, they will burn out. Resilience, we already talked about that. Early intervention, we've talked about that as well. And we talked about leaders getting to know themselves. So you need to know yourself. You can't lead others effectively if you're not leading yourself effectively. I wanted to open it up because I'm going to get a couple of minutes left to Jackie and Katrina. Did you have any questions or any thoughts on what I shared?
Actually, I think Jackie had a really great question there. Did you want to lead with that one?
Yeah, sure. So, Nicole, my question is around how transparent you should be around burnout to your staff or to clients. Should you let them know that you are feeling burned out and you're taking time out, or do you hide that and just kind of have other reasons that you're away? Or yeah, what's the transparency around that, and how does it affect a client with your business?
Right. So there are no shoulds. There is only what works for you. When I saw the signs of burnout, there was something going on in my private space, and I was like, you know what? I'm just staring at this screen. And my dad died, right? So I was like, I had a couple of days off, came back to work. I wasn't performing very well, and I just said to my boss, you know what? I'm not okay. I thought I was. I'm not. I'm going to go and see a counsellor. And that's when he let me know that there was an employee access plan in place. I didn't know it existed, and I could reach out and get free counselling services. Okay, so it depends on your corporate culture, your work environment. If you're in a small business and you don't have something like that, it's really a personal choice. Maybe you go to your partner, your husband, wife, the people in your inner circle and say, listen, I'm struggling. Maybe I need to go and see a coach, or I need to see a counselor, or I need to go to my doctor and get a mental health plan. There's nothing wrong with a mental health plan. It's great. We all need someone to talk to about the stuff that's going on. I work with a lot of small business owners who just need a confidential person to talk to who understands how hard it is to run a small business. And they tell me all sorts of stuff. And I am not surprised by any of it, because I've been there and I understand, and I'll give them pretty straightforward direct advice and real practical strategies to implement. I have no problem in myself personally reaching out to a client who I've been working with for a while and go, look, I'm just not feeling well. Can we reschedule? I want to be on the top of my game when we meet next time. And right now I feel like I wouldn't be able to do that for you. I've said it to team members before. And I think particularly if you're a leader and you own a business and you employ other people, or you engage them in that professional capacity, having that honesty and genuineness to go, I just need some me time. I just need to go for a walk on the beach. I need a time out. I need to go work from it. Opens up a safe space for everyone to go, yeah, actually, you know what? I'm not okay. Yeah, and that's great. We're not okay all the time. And then have healthy strategies in place. So for example, back in the banking days, myself and my boss smoke chain coffees. We had coffees coming in, and years went by, and we suddenly went, we're fat, sick, and nearly dead, and unfortunately he passed. And that's not okay, right? So when you are journaling, you're checking in, you're having honest conversations with yourself and others, and you're encouraging other people, look, is everyone okay? Do you have what you need to thrive? The other thing is, and I've seen this a lot too in the corporate space, is a reliance on the organisation to take care of you. No, the organisation is there to provide access to services and to make sure that you don't die on the job, right? They've got health, safety, HSE policies. They're not there to take care of you. You've got to take care of you, but they will provide structure and services in a safe working environment. You're not a victim. You do need to put your hand up and go, I'm not okay. How can I get some support for this? And we've already talked about, trusted friends, advisors, colleagues, your family, professionals, there are helplines, but you do need to take time out to reflect, take a beat and go, am I still in the right business? Is it still serving me? Am I okay? What would okay look like? What would fabulous look like? What would, man, I need a holiday look like? Yeah. And we've given some examples of early indications of burnout, that you're on the track to burnout. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I love that as a small business owner, one of your ideas was just, can we reschedule? I'm just in the day. Like, just that's a simple question to ask, and maybe you don't have to go into all the details, but it buys you that time to regroup. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Katrina, do you have any questions?
Actually, I have one that came to mind based on a couple of people that I've heard go through this. Burnout as a blessing. So sometimes burnout can be a great time to go, hey, maybe I need some changes in my life. When is it time to stop is the question.
Before you burn out. So as soon as you see one or more of those indicators that you're on the path to burnout, go and see a professional, a coach, a counselor, your GP, etc. And because you don't want to burn out. So this is what happens when you burn out. Okay. Chances are, like, one of my burnouts cost me $250,000 because I made really poor decisions. I was kind of working through a mental soup. And it wasn't until I got out and got healthy again that I looked back and went, oh, look at all the decisions I made. And that amounted to X amount of dollars. Lost opportunity as well as direct cost. So that's one. The other thing with burnout, apart from, poor decisions or staying in a business too long or down a pathway of strategy in your business for too long, is the time it takes for you to rebuild your resilience, to fill your cup back up. So if you are regularly checking in and managing your stress, mastering your stress to great advantage, when do you need to ramp it up? When do you need to dial it down? Then you can just quickly top up with a weekend off or a long weekend or a school holiday or something, right? But when you are that depleted that you're burnt out, it can take weeks to recover. And if you do not fully recover and you get another burnout, the compounding effect is much worse. So my first burnout took me 20 years. The next one was 5. The next one was 2. And the next one I was halfway through it about 6 months later, because, life comes at you. And if you haven't rebuilt those reserves and stuff happens, COVID or, a relationship breakup or a death in the family or whatever might happen, it's much harder to recover. So that's when you really need professionals to help you deeply renew so that you can go back into the space again. And I would also say, if you've lost passion for your business and you've hit burnout and you look around, you go, oh, I'm in the wrong business, or the business is done, or I'm done. It's time for change. What would align with my highest expression, my highest purpose? What's going to bring me joy? And what can I do without energy depletion that's going to make money and serve my needs?
That's brought something else to mind, actually, with those who, I guess, are new to small business and having experienced the same mindset myself when I was in my first couple of years. One of the things that you tell yourself when you invest yourself in your business is that you can do this. I can do this. And you keep reminding yourself, don't worry, you can do this. Just keep at it, keep doing it. And you don't want to admit to yourself that, one, it's too hard. 2, you can't, everything just keeps piling up on your plate, and you've got people who believe in you, people who are relying on you, clients, colleagues, maybe your family, especially if it's contributing to the household income and whatnot, and then you go, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I just need to stick. And you can't, how do you say, it's probably one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, to go, hey, I actually can't do this. I need to stop, look, and how can I make sure I can? How can I get the tools to make sure I can do this? And actually, you know, recognizing that it's okay, just put your hand up and say, I need help, because, you know, being self-confident or overconfident perhaps, and leading to that burnout can, you know, result in burnout, just not being able to admit to yourself that, hey, I need to stop, think, and look at stuff. And it's, I believe I've personally gone through it at least 3 times in the last 10 years, maybe more. But just recognizing the fact that you actually need help, and it's okay to be that way. You don't have to, you don't have to be, you know, Captain America or Wonder Woman in your business or everything that you do in your life. I mean, and I'm saying this as a working mum, sole trader, and you know, running a multitude of projects at the moment, and I'm loving what I'm doing. And I think the key to my success has, one, been listening to the support I have from my colleagues. One, taking you, Nicole, on as my business mentor, and just 2, 3, the biggest thing is acknowledging how I feel. And if I'm stressed, it's because of, you know, I'm not allowing myself to actually understand the fact that I can't, that I'm in that stress out zone, and I need to acknowledge what I'm feeling to be able to go, hey, I need help. What tools do I need to implement, or what are my problems at the moment? How can and understanding what those issues are before I move forward. Otherwise, everything's a problem, right? So
yeah,
big thank you to you, Nicole, for helping me to identify a few of those things. And I've actually made some huge strides in my own business and my own day-to-day life. I mean, I can go to bed without worrying about what I haven't done, you know, because I've done what I needed to achieve for the day or the week. And hey, I can put those things off to next week. It's fine. But everything, you know, all of my tasks don't need to be achieved at the, you know, first 3 days of the month. It's okay. And just, you know, slowly, not biting off more than I can chew, so to speak, and asking for help when you need it. So
beautiful. I want to thank you for saying that as well. I mean, thank you for the thanks, but you put your hand up and you are open to that feedback as well. So it has to go both ways. And so, you know, also give yourself appreciation for having done that as well. The other thing I think is really important is it isn't couch potatoes that are at risk of burnout. It's your high achiever, your go-getter. It's the person who wants to do things and has goals and is really capable. It isn't the one sitting there on the couch going, yeah, I'll do my 9 to 5 job. No, and that's why in small business in particular, and small business isn't for everyone. It isn't for everyone at every stage of their life. Sometimes it's not the best choice for you. Maybe you do need to get a job for a period of time. Maybe you do need to recover your health to be able to run your business. Maybe you need a part-time job. Maybe you need an influx of the resources from somewhere else. So it's certainly not a badge of honor burning out. And I don't say I've had 4 burnouts as any way of saying, oh, look at me and I'm an overachiever on burnout. It was like, what am I not learning? And it was, I took the same mindset that got burnout in corporate into small business and burnt out there, and then burnt out in my private life because there was things that I just was not learning from myself. And the only way I seemed to be able to stop long enough was when everything got wiped out. The 4th burnout was actually related to COVID, and I did not take no for an answer. It wiped me out twice, and I rebuilt better the second time. And then I went, oh my goodness, I am exhausted. I'm emotionally, spiritually, energetically, creatively exhausted. And now I'm a pissy with the people around me. What is the point of this? I'm going to go get a job. And so I had to work out, well, what will serve me in this next section of my life, and how can I be of value and service? I still coach and consult because I love it. It's my passion. I make money and I help people. And I have a job at a university where I'm a business success coach for postgrad and undergraduate students. I have 650 of them. And I still manage to do all of this. But you know what? I walk on the beach, I meditate, I get a massage, I have a time out, I know myself really well. It's like, do I want to do this? Yes. What's it going to take to be sustainably successful in that environment? Do that. There are no secrets to success. They've all been shared with everyone. It's about working out the right combination that's going to work for you at that time in your life and doing it. And if you need help, there's plenty of help. You got to put your hand up, like Katrina said. One last thing, and very important. I mean, I had one client, incredibly high achieving woman. She got kids, she got 3 jobs. She built one of those businesses up to $800,000 turnover. 800,000, yes, turnover a year. And she came to me and we were working through, you know, her success definition. And in the end, the decision was she needed to close that $800,000 business because the reason she started it was not a healthy reason for starting, and continuing was costing her what was most important to her, although it had made nearly $1 million a year in turnover. So it is about, you know, getting sometimes some external perspective to help you be a bit more objective and less emotionally attached to the reality of what's going on in your small business and in your life and in your body and in your mind. We've gone way over time. Thank you for letting me share so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the questions. They were great. Was there any last comments you wanted to share, Katrina?
I think the biggest thing there was getting to know yourself, your boundaries, and being honest with yourself. So I really love the whole spiritual aspect to burnout as well. So would love to get any brochure that you've got in relation to burnout to include with this recording on the digital toolkit page for people to download. That would be great. Big thank you again for taking time out. I know that you're a very busy individual, and you still take time to make a difference in people's lives. So thank you very much for joining. And Jackie, thank you again for taking your time out on your very busy schedule on a Friday, when the only day you don't have your little girl. So I'm thankful to say mine's happily sleeping. So here we are, we're all juggling a million things, and we're still managing to come together and work together to help small business. So again, thank you. And for everyone who's watching this live, I would love to have you join us again for next week's session, which is it's in the comments below. Talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.